how are you?
Good. Yeah, that's my business partner, Vince.
Oh, nice to meet you. Almost there. I'm just gonna admit everyone. And
Yeah. This is.
all ready to go.
Calling the order, meeting of West Bath Township Planning Commission tonight, Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. 7:05 p.m. Would you please join me in the meeting? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next order of business is the adoption of our agenda tonight. Motion to the order.
I make a motion to approve West Town Planning Commission agenda for Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. For second.
I'll second it. All right, are there any additions, discussions, subtractions? Complaints? Any comments from the public? On our agenda? Any comments from our remote audience? On the agenda? Hearing none, I'm gonna call the question. All those in favor of adopting the agenda as presented, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Our agenda is adopted. Next order of business is the approval of our minutes for our meeting of July 22nd, 2026. Motion is in order.
I make a motion for the approval of the West Town Township Planning Commission meeting minutes of July 22nd, 2026.
Second. I'll second. All right. Is there any discussion amongst the commission of changes, correction? Really? All right, is there any comment from the public present about our meeting and draft form? Any comment from our remote, from our minutes? All right, there is none. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of adopting minutes as presented for July 22nd, 2026, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed?
No, I abstain in that I was not at that meeting, so it would not be appropriate for me to enter my vote today.
So moved.
Okay.
Motion passes. The minutes are adopted. Announcements, Ms. Carr.
I do not have any announcements for today.
The new arrivals.
She's 4 days old.
Bless you for attending our meeting.
Sure.
All right, now we move on. Any other announcements? No. All right, now we're going to move to public comment, non-agenda items. This is the public's opportunity to comment on anything that is not on our agenda. Any within reason. Your comment should be limited to 2 minutes. Or less.
I thought it was 3 minutes.
All right, any comments from our assembled audience? How about our online audience? Your opportunity to make a comment on any non-agenda item. All right, hearing no comments, I'm going to close the public comment period for non-agenda items, and we'll move on to new business. And our first item of new business is the review of the preliminary final land development application for 1032 and 1036 Wilmington Pike. The applicant, the Sabatino Landscaping Inc. proposes the redevelopment of the properties located at 1032 Wilmington Pike and 1036 Wilmington Pike as a landscape design studio with office space and indoor and outdoor display areas. The proposed improvements at 1036 Wilmington Pike include construction of a 5,888 square foot landscape design office building, outdoor kitchen display area, parking facilities, outdoor display areas, and stormwater management facilities, as well as a secondary access connection to Chapin Drive. The proposed office building will be served by public water and public sewer. The application also proposes improvements at 1032 Wilmington Pike, including the construction of a swimming pool, hot tub, pool house, pergolas, and other outdoor canopy areas. These amenities will be accessible from the rear of the 1036 Wilmington Pike property and are intended to serve as display and demonstration features associated with the landscape design business. I'm also going to add that these two properties are the subject of a zoning hearing board decision dated 5/21/2026, where a number of variances were approved as well as a special exception application. And now I invite the applicant to make a presentation. Sir,
Good evening, how is everybody tonight?
fine.
If you don't mind pushing the button for me there. There you go. Yep.
I was right on better here. If it's okay with the planning commission, we have, people that I think are new to the process. I gave them my spiel ahead of time, but it might be nice for them to have, hear me say it officially, so that they understand what we're proposing. And I think that the biggest issue for everybody this evening is traffic. If that's correct, we can skip through the traffic, if that's okay with the planning commission.
That's okay with me, if okay with you. And I do want to point out to the audience that we're not prepared to make a final recommendation to the board of supervisors tonight because we do not have all of the townships. So review letters to community. Still lacking a review letter from the Churchill County Planning Commission as well as our engineering consultant, CDG.
And for this evening, we would be asking for guidance on our waiver request, because that's.
Why don't you outline the waiver request before we turn to each track?
Sure, can I just give the
That's okay.
neighbors a quick overview so they've got me on the record for it, okay. So the main hotel currently is an L shape here with a glass fence here and here. And then next to it is the home and outbuilding. On the home property, we intend to fix the house up and it'll be occupied as a rental. In the back of the residence, we're going to build a pool house, a pool with a canopy, a hot tub adjacent to the pool, and then pergolas on the back. Along the rear property line will be a privacy fence and then fully landscaped property line. On the Abbey Green property, the bottom of the L being removed. The out portion is coming out, further into what is currently the driveway area. The front of the building would be occupied by 4 to 5 landscape design personnel who work there Monday through Friday. What are the hours? 7 to 5, Saturday by. Okay, 7 to 5 Monday through Friday, Saturday by appointment. So the daily occupancy should be approximately 5 people against 1 for whatever visitors would come to see the design. At the rear of the building would be an outdoor kitchen and hardscape area that you would find in the backyard. Along the driveway area will be 4 bay doors, so garage type doors. With inside here would be display areas that would be whatever the client was coming to look at. So it would be staged and removed for the next client. So there is no work, no landscapers coming here and coming to your house to do work.
So if you're designing it here, you can sign a contract here, but the work is based out of their existing facility in Delaware. So the type of vehicles you see here are just, regular employee vehicles. And then there would be box trucks that would deliver the palletized materials, whether it be, refrigerators, grills, whatever you see in an outside kitchen, water display features, papers for, whatever walkways you'd be looking at. That's the summary of what we're proposing for use here, and then if everybody's, level of interest is in the traffic, I'll hop right into that, in case you want to hear, don't want to hear me talk for nothing. Is that okay? Now, the waivers first? Okay.
All right, see.
So there are, there was a waiver letter submitted with the application. And we have 3 waivers on that list. First is from section 149-600 to allow for preliminary final submission, which is the full submission that we have submitted. The second waiver is from section 149-909A to allow us to keep the existing access points along Wilmington Pike, which is an arterial highway and has a right of way width greater than 60 feet. And we'll get into that in a little bit more detail addressing the traffic comments. The third is a partial waiver from section 149-924D 12B2 to permit less than required number of replacement trees due to space availability on the property. So to give you an idea, under the ordinance, we are required to plant 73 trees. We've only managed to fit 96 trees on it. Again, we're landscape design, so we're trying to put as much landscaping on, but that's what we're trying to sell to you all. So with flip-flop. You want to flip-flop one?
No, I think you said, you said, very good geometry. Sorry, so.
Sorry, well, it's 46.
Yeah.
Okay, 73.
Yeah,
My handwriting.
okay, yeah, apparently. I don't think about that.
That's, okay, so why didn't you restate the number of trees?
73.
Yeah, 73 required, 46 are proposed. And then in addition to that, we have all the other landscaping. So, we have. This is our landscaping plan. And, we're not looking to be chintzy as landscape designers on landscaping, so if the engineers have suggestion of where should coordinate some others that will still road look nice, we're all ears, so we don't, again, it's a showpiece, it's intended to be a showpiece, we're not chintzy. And the township engineer has confidence, or maybe has some ideas, and we'll address that, but just from a overall perspective, we're seeking a waiver. Not that we don't want to put them in, they don't fit. And then we'll move on to the traffic engineers. Review letter, that's okay?
They propose to, review this traffic replace letter, deal with some traffic, so. Is that okay? All right, proceed, please.
Okay, so, to bring everybody up to speed, when we met with the planning commission and the board of supervisors initially, overview the project and describe what we were doing before we went for our various applications. Before we filed for a variance, Ms. Carter put us in contact with PennDOT, with regard to their proposal for, the Wilmington, Wilmington Pike and 202 corridor design project. I'd love to tell you what's in it, but they didn't tell us. What we did do is we submitted them our plans. They provided us feedback to the plans, and the traffic pattern that you see on the property today was dictated to us by PennDOT. We have since done a soft application of PennDOT and gotten additional commentary back from them. The hard application goes in tomorrow, which starts their review clock, and they have only PennDOT can do this. They have 30 days to review, which they now interpret as 30 business days. So we'll get a review letter sometime in October. They And so what we have today is there are two existing, full access driveways on the spur right near the intersection with 202. The first access northbound is being changed into right in, right out only. The second lower one will remain full access. The entranceway onto Chain is for truck traffic primarily. If we can move the train down just a little bit. Anyway, this curve, yeah, so you have this curve almost to 93, that prevents the trucks from being able to make a right turn and go into the residential area. So it's designed for them to have to come up to the intersection with Cheney and 202 proper to make the right hand turn to go southbound.
And signage.
Correct, so at this location here, there's signage saying no right turns, in addition to the curve preventing, there's not enough room for the truck to make that movement. I guess they can drive over your curb and through your landscape and try and make it, but everything is possible to be done to prevent that any curves being done, as well as, the owners will communicate to the drivers that they're not allowed to make that right turn. I can't guarantee you that it won't happen, but everything that can be done is being done and will continue to be done during the period of ownership. So again, our full application goes in tomorrow, but as we understand it from PennDOT, this is PennDOT's preferred design for the property. And, you know, 30 business days from tomorrow, I'll get a permit. Maybe, it's good to see, they can't, I guess, we're waiting, it's my good. Are there any questions on the overview? All right, so, did everybody get a copy of, Mr. Federico's July 30th review letter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The majority of the comments we are going to comply with. There are a couple of waivers that we're looking for. So, comment number 2, I'm not sure what his actual requirement is looking to do, whether he's looking for us to widen Cheney Road, but we are not proposing any widening of Cheney Road. We are just, proposing the left-hand turn for PennDOT, to allow us onto Cheney, well, full access with left-hand truck traffic turning on Cheney. So the comment from the township engineers is recommended the township consider requiring widening of Cheney Drive along the site frontage. So it would be wider for some portion on our side of the road. I'm not sure that makes any sense whatsoever, but we're asking to the extent that he is asking for that, we're asking for a waiver from that requirement. That's number 2 on the review letter.
But that's, that would be in addition to the 3 waivers you have identified
Correct,
previously.
yes,
So now we're before.
we would be up to 4, yes. If you move along, the next one, while we're upping my waiver count, will be number 6. So the ordinance provides an opportunity for the township to try to rescind access to a arterial road when an application is made to improve the property. So the township engineer is recommending that the board consider request a waiver, which is one of the ones we spoke about earlier. And if you do grant the waiver, that approval could include a condition requiring the access to be closed is determined by the township to be a hazard. I don't know about that, or how to word that, but that's the recommendation that the township traffic engineer made.
And so if that were done, you would still have access, chain and all.
The current waiver request provides for us, yes, to have the access points on Old Wellington Pike and on Shady.
So waiver on number 6.
Okay. I'm a little confused. Forgive me. If you were denied that waiver, you would still have access to the property from Shady Grove, correct?
Correct.
But what I don't understand why.
Not when we complain, this, yes.
Holding to pipe. So
Yes.
what are you seeking a waiver? Can you point to it?
Sure, the ordinance in theory permits you to close both this access point and the other existing access point and require this new access point.
So you're asking for a waiver to maintain what you have shown on the plan right now
Correct.
for all we can like.
Yeah, which is a reduction of what exists today. They exist two full access points onto Old Wilmington Pike / 202. The top one's really just Old Wilmington Pike. The lower one is Old Wilmington Pike / 202, depending on where you draw your imaginary line between the two. So it's based on PennDOT's design. This is what we're doing, with those existing, points, and then the access point on change. And this somehow ties into PennDOT's plan, which I'm sharing with you. I do, but I know it's okay.
But you have given in your words a soft proposal.
Correct.
And they haven't said anything about about closing or restricting these two existing access.
Correct. So they when we had the initial meeting, with PennDOT, which included the district engineer, who is the head of PennDOT for this area, the permit engineer, the, design engineer, what they call the person who's responsible for this portion of the 202 corridor, and the permitting engineer. So all four heads were on, whatever that, but all four were on this call. They then required us to provide our drawings in CAD, which were the intent of them overlaying on whatever their plan is, and then they came back with the revisions to our plan that you see in front of you this evening. So then, once we made those revisions, we had to resubmit soft application in CAD, got additional comments back, and then our full application goes in tomorrow.
Question for you, is it possible that PennDOT will deny your application for the two driveways you're proposing on Wilmington Pike because you have access to Shady Grove?
It's PennDOT, they do whatever they want.
Okay, so possible.
It's not impossible, but after they dictated to me the entrances, I mean, I'm not the best for it, after they dictated to me, and then they try changing it. Chris may have to get a new order.
So you're saying they dictated to you those access points?
Yes, I don't think that's fine, that's fine.
Is your traffic engineer tonight?
No,
Is your engineer, the design engineer tonight?
yes,
Okay.
I mean, I presume that when we made soft application to PennDOT will fix all Cheatham Drive, so it's two existing access points to Wilmington Pike, and it's redesigning, and you did, and it's okay. So far. Okay, whether the young question.
PennDOT's not concerned about trucks, I guess, accessing directly on the 202.
no, but the intent is, from the applicant's perspective, our requirement is going to be that the trucks utilize Cheney Drive. So Cheney Drive, this entrance point has been designed for trucks to go make the left-hand turn. We have signage here that, you can't make the right-hand turn, but from the owner's perspective, we're driving all truck traffic through this intersection.
I think it all would make sense once you see PennDOT's plans for improvements, which they're supposed to announce next year, sometime next year.
So no truck traffic will be exiting from this, on the top, from that hill point.
That's our intent, that's the our instructions to the drivers, as close as I can guarantee it for you, I am.
Signage, you put signage on there.
Yes, and the owners will be instructing the drivers to go out on the chain.
I don't think they want to cross.
And. And one of, most of these are box trucks,
Yes,
maybe 45 foot.
I mean, they're gonna be trucks, they're gonna deliver, it's gonna be.
You know, trucks, trucks.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I can't tell you exactly what trucks are gonna be there, but there's different trucks.
There might be some.
But the most are box.
Mostly, but there could be truck with a trailer, there could be different.
And we do
Okay.
have, we saw in plans, the turns and radius.
Yeah.
So they can accommodate large trucks, a box.
For us, Steve.
And so I just worry about larger trucks trying to get out on 202. You know, get enough speed to get out on 202.
and the applicant would take, a plan note on the record set saying that truck traffic is required to use King Drive.
Well, I would say one way, and I'm speaking to the planning commission, one way to guarantee the trucks do not exit the one driveway that's being proposed is to eliminate that driveway. And they would only ever have to buy on the chain road.
And that begs the additional question is, why have that second access point, other than it exists now?
There is a hand raised.
Okay, I just wanted to see it.
True, how about that?
Do you, the planning commission want to entertain questions from our remote audience at this point, or keep going in relay? Might be beneficial to do it now if it's traffic related.
Well, I thought he was gonna finish going through the letter and then. Al's letter, and then maybe we can entertain questions. Okay, so-
Actually, before you move on to the next point on the letter, just a quick observation or comment. Instead of eliminating in its entirety the egress, ingress from Old Wilmington and or 202 itself, Wilmington, like maybe just have it entrance only as opposed to entrance and exit with that lower
Oh,
one.
here.
Have exit, all traffic exiting from Chain.
So the issue that I did not understand from the, conference call with PennDOT was. Forget what I didn't understand. PennDOT was clear that based on their design, this was appropriate. And they provided no guidance as to what their design was. Again, they required us to produce CAD and did not provide either to Greg Richardson, who does PennDOT reviews, and but he's not the district, not the outside review engineer of this district, but he is for others. No insight into what's going on. But they were clear as to this was the appropriate layout based on their plans for what was going to occur.
I just didn't want to see you lose an entire
Yeah, we can't afford to do.
possible entrance.
Right, we're not in a position to agree to that access point, because I have no idea. All I know is they know what they're talking about, and they were clear, this is what we needed to do.
Well, thank you for that clarification.
Yes, and well, clear as mud, but you're welcome to it.
Excuse me, is your microphone on?
Fix that this one.
Maybe the battery's cracked up.
Supposed to be. Okay. Additional requests, based on each of the.
Yes, comment 8, which is, private driveways in commercial districts shall be located at least 100 feet from the point of intersection near street right-of-way models. The driveways to Wilmington Pike and all Wilmington Pike are further less than 100 feet from the intersection right-of-way models. Sky's also blue and some like orange from yellowish. I mean, there's nothing we can do about either, there's particularly on the residential side, that's their driveway. There's no change proposed to that. I agree that we are making changes to the added green property, but again, they're, if we left them as is, they're full movement in and out, so we're not asking for new conditions, we're trying to improve the existing conditions within the constraints that PennDOT has dictated. As much as I can tell myself that I'm in charge.
That's my wife.
Yeah. I just talked to my dad. All right, so that's 8 that we're seeking a waiver from, so we're up to 4/5. 6 is redundant. On the next one is 11. There is an existing 18-inch pipe under 202 that they've invited us to adopt, and we're gonna respectfully decline the opportunity to get involved in a drainage pipe under 202 that we're not otherwise changing, modifying, adjusting, or any other action.
So they're basically saying it should be evaluated for physical condition debates addicts. You're saying we're not doing it because we don't.
Correct.
Yeah, but I think what Al's saying here is. For the runoff generated by the new site improvements. They have to be able to be accommodated by that 18-inch CMP.
Yeah, we're not going that direction, we're going the other direction.
Can you point that out on the plan?
Yeah.
Do you want another plan sheet?
Yes, if you now, to the document for the grading utilities plan.
Oh, this one?
Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I apologize. My name is Tyler Ladd, I'm an engineer with Bell Engineering. I was responsible for the stormwater design of the project, or the other elements. If I may approach the screen. So the 18-inch corrugated metal pipe in question is located down here in the bottom right-hand corner. That's blocking the view and the wall up here. It's located right here, and as I said, it continues on under 202. So the comment specifically, when I'm talking about evaluating the existing condition and adequacy, per the stormwater design, following the stormwater ordinance, we are reducing the peak flow and the volume of water leaving the site. So we're actually making the runoff that's being generated right now better. So we feel that they're addressing the adequacy, we're actually making it better is by default stormwater design. But additional analysis would really be largely unnecessary. And as far as the physical.
So that's deducting reason, right? You're reducing your total runoff after post construction, so it should be added.
Correct. It should be adequate for the runoff that's there now. We're reducing, so there should be additional capacity.
Why? I beg to differ, and forgive me, Chairman. It's not that it's adequate, it's that less.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that it is or it isn't, I'm just trying to figure out what the reason.
Yeah.
Visuals and.
No, I understand the logic behind what he said, but
We may not agree.
it's possible it's inadequate now. And it's possible it will continue to be inadequate.
True. Yeah, is that a
Is
township?
that a fair enough statement?
But it's possible first aid.
Well, I think that's why our township traffic engineer who's here tonight, made that comment. And he can defend his own comment, and I'm not gonna defend it. We're not gonna defend it up here, he's here.
Is the township going to evaluate it or is PennDOT going to evaluate it during the permitting? Right?
I would say that the township has to evaluate it as part of the overall land development.
It is. And so we could require this, or PennDOT could require it, right? Correct.
Mhm.
All right, they asked for a waiver, we understand these. That.
Next is Pearl, which is the bridge that sidewalk, that paths, and other paths.
Yeah, any questions, Mr. John?
And then, our final one in this section is 17. The 17 is, all accidents for public street or highway should be located not less than 300 feet from the intersection of any street lines. So both Wilmington Pike accesses violate that, and Shady Road violates that as well. So all of ours are violative, two of which exist in a violative condition. The third we're adding is violative, and we don't have enough feet to meet it.
All right, and 17, say zoning.
Zoning.
I saw that.
Correct.
We only recommend the board of supervisors. You understand, that. Anything else that you'd like to?
Non-traffic.
All right, I think it would be appropriate for Mr. Federico to elucidate us in some of these issues.
Thank you.
So I think I use your number. All right.
With respect to my understanding of where this is with PennDOT, notwithstanding the intended HOP plan submission. Based on the materials that have been provided to the township, the applicant had a meeting in February that involved the design team for the 202 improvements. Based on the minutes prepared of that meeting, the 202 improvements are going to include removing the left turn median brake for Old Wilmington Pike and relocating that to Cheney Drive. And the southern terminus of Old Wilmington Pike is going to be removed and relocated to Cheney Drive along the eastern property line. So PennDOT wanted to ensure that those improvements could be accommodated with this design. From the documentation we've seen, it's not clear if they confirmed that that is accurate. Additionally, the PennDOT scoping review, which was made in April, or the review was received in so let's see. Too many things to open. Where's the scoping? So much for where's the scoping? One more, please. I believe as part of that, PennDOT did not indicate that they were totally on board with the driveways. There was a generally involved in that. Also, they asked for demonstration of adequate site distance at the driveways, which is not something that we've seen on the plan. And based on a field view, it appears that there may, again, I haven't spoken to Mr. Richardson about this, but it appears that there may be an issue providing site distance at the Wilmington Pike access.
And I'll just be clear, that was number 9 in the review letter, which made reference to.
We're going, yes, 9 references to site distance. With specifically comment 6 from PennDOT scoping review, the department generally agrees with the design of the right and right out driveway up to 202. However, the following should be investigated, provided before the department will agree to design plan of the sites with the 202 project to ensure that there are no conflicts. The northern one-way driveway entrance must be closed. And I believe at some point that driveway is being referred to as two-way. That, as far as I can tell, it was proposed that one way. PennDOT was asking for that drawing to be closed. And the connection to Old Woman Pike to Route 202 must be modified to better align with the intersection. Again, if there's been any other correspondence or coordination between the applicant and PennDOT, I am personally not aware of it. With respect to Chain Drive and the requested waiver for the widening, based on the submitted plans, Chain Drive is approximately 18 feet wide. For a minor street, the requirement is 24 feet. This is a roadway that is intended, to accommodate two-way traffic. Right now, it's not taking a lot of traffic. With PennDOT's future plans, particularly with the relocation of left turn lane, it is anticipated that it may accommodate a little bit more traffic. Regardless of this project, which frankly is a traffic generator, I don't think anybody's anticipating this is going to generate a lot of traffic. But Chain Drive in and of itself, based on the PennDOT project, is likely going to have a bit of traffic going to it. So at least partial widening to better accommodate that may not be a bad idea.
And is that, would that be a township requirement or PennDOT requirement or what?
Well, I don't believe PennDOT required it. This is again, comment number 2, from the Saldo about subdivision developments adjacent to substandard roadways.
But if Chain Drive were to be one, the applicant could do it if they would be required.
At a minimum on
At their side,
their side.
and work would have to be done with the owners on the other side.
If it were to be done, but at a minimum as part of this, they keep our side.
And now that's a minimum, they can do it, really, they can do it on both sides, correct?
If there's a right of way, they could.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They could widen, what I was suggesting is that the applicant can not only widen Chain Road on their side. Chain Road, they can widen on the other side of Chain Road, so it's a full 24-foot width, let's say, to the driveway.
The township gave them authority to work on that.
With respect to the 18-inch CFD, that appears to be
Say we'll see in these.
corrugated metal pipe. That is what we were talking about earlier. Typically, when you go for a PennDOT permit, they also evaluate drainage. There's a basin in the corner of Chain Drive and 202. The outflow of that basin, which you were discussing, is this 18-inch pipe. I was asking just to make sure that that's addressed as part of the HOP. Since they are discharging to a cross pipe, it is entirely possible that PennDOT will come back and man the gas for the township, take over its responsibility of that pipe. Again, they've not submitted the PennDOT, PennDOT's not asked that yet. But at a minimum, I would expect that there's going to be a question of adequacy to make sure that that basin, which arguably hasn't been well maintained over the years, is not going to be flooding and discharging down to a tip. That one is referring to comment on that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's also the issue about the driveway widths, not complying with zoning, commercial driveways. And just, this is a challenging site, and I truly appreciate that the township is, would like to see something positive done. From a traffic perspective, Usually we're concerned about how much traffic is coming, and I think this is a pretty low traffic generating use. Dealership, the access is from an earlier date. And is going to be modified in the future when PennDOT, if PennDOT ever comes through. I'm gonna put that out there too, because of the way PennDOT goes. It's not clear when that'll happen, but
Well, if you were to recommend that this design to be approved by the board of supervisors and PennDOT's plans down the road are implemented, the applicant or owner would have to. Well,
I would expect PennDOT would be making an offer to this owner or whatever land they need. There's gonna be some sort of negotiations to obtain the additional land, so they can approve this. And I'm not sure how to say other than just general overview, the township will have at that point.
but if some or all of those access points were removed because of the design, would the applicant still have, I know this is actual access property via chain?
They would have adequate access via chain, provided that they have adequate site distance from chain. And there needs to be more investigation of that, because you have a dorm line in the road west of this site, which is outside the notice of this plan, and plan to demonstrate site distance at any location.
Any other comments you want to bring to the attention of the planning commission, sir?
I would say, I mean, most of this planning commission has been around long enough to go through Gravely. Unless the project that shall not be named. So you know that there's a lot in the zoning code, the code about access to 202. And not providing access to 202. This, well, I agree, these are existing conditions. I oddly didn't see anything of that in the zoning hearing decision, and don't see any variances related to those materials like this. So I think that it's, I want the best thing that's where you made it, that has to be thought about.
Well, if your comments about the zoning ordinance, and I'm referring to comment 14.1, those are zoning requirements. So if the planning commission or the board of supervisors agree that they are zoning requirements, they can't be waived. Relief would have to be sought from the hearing.
Correct.
When is it likely that, I'm trying to figure out what an appropriate order of timing would be on this? Is it appropriate to wait until the NDOT has ruled on or reviewed their hard highway occupancy permit application?
I think if the township were to move forward with the decision prior to PennDOT, the township's decision would be subject to outside agency approvals of PennDOT. If PennDOT came back and said that they had to change something, then they would have to come back with it.
For efficiency, we could move ahead though.
You could. Yeah, and I would note that, the updated TIP, Regional Transportation Improvement Plan was just released. And the final design of this section for 202 is funded in FY 2027. So that's actually gonna happen.
Say that again.
That's actually gonna happen.
What's going to happen?
Final design.
Final design for this.
So the PennDOT project,
Next year.
yeah, within the next fiscal year.
So we should have a firm idea soon about what it is that they're going to do.
We should be hearing more soon, yes.
More soon.
Yes. Like 6 months or so,
Yeah.
8 months.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to bring to our attention?
No, I believe we touched on all the like major issues, but if you have any other questions on review.
Questions from the commission, additional questions?
Yeah, Matt, you made reference to site distance. Does this plan provide graphically or however, or in any other way, the site distance that they have?
I did not see that on the place.
Right, so this is a question then for the applicant's attorney. Is there a reason why that's not been shown on the plan yet?
Yeah. We have two existing driveways. This entranceway onto Cheney would dictate to us. We are putting 4 passenger vehicles in and out of this business every day from a motel that exists today. In addition, we will have intermittent truck traffic make intermittent deliveries for display area. We agreed that 202 in this area is a problem. We're not here to fix any of that. We're entitled to 2 entrances. And if PennDOT tells us we're not Cheney Road, we're not Cheney Road. Now I have all my new friends here that don't want to see an entrance on Cheney Road. So I'm not looking to beg, borrow, or steal any more problems than I already had. I have 2 driveways in the I've added what has been asked. And PennDOT's going to tell me something else after this information. And then I'm going to know what I'm talking about. Today, I don't know what I'm talking about. I do know what I'm entitled to. And if PennDOT comes back to something that isn't feasible or palatable, or the cost of verifying something for 4 trips today isn't good enough, then I pick up my bat and I swing. So where we are today is we don't know what we're going to have. We've done our best, we've been forthright, we've been in front of you, this is not the 5th time. And we've done what has been asked of us. These other things we can't change. Horizontal curve, vertical curve. You're talking PennDOT is funding a design for improvements that might be on another day. What would you like me to do? This is just a theoretical design based on a permit. They aren't going to get hard comments to for another 6 weeks. It is again, let's go to the window, to go across the street at what is there today, and what is proposed. People all agree that we improved it. It is proved as a motel today. 4 people are gonna come to work and go home from work daily, maybe 5 on a good day, and a couple visitors. This isn't the job to fix all of that. It isn't.
And so the 2 driveway access points that you say you're entitled to are the 2 that are shown generally on Old Wilmington and Wilmington. Are those the 2 that you referring to?
Correct. And when we came with our initial plans to the township, that's what we showed them. Because we know it. Let's say I'm not the best word, he's not the best engineer, but we can read. And we see that we're not entitled to Cheney Drive. And the neighbors are pretty clear that they don't want Cheney Drive. But that's what we were told to do, so that's what we put on the plan. We're not looking to borrow trouble, we're looking to put a showpiece on a dilapidated property. And it does not have the economic horsepower to fix 202 or Cheney Drive or corrugated pipe or anything else. Yeah. It's not Walmart. I'm Walmart. I'm not to offend you, but do you have Walmart resources?
No,
I'm sorry, correct, it's not Walmart.
we're a small
You
business.
know,
Yeah.
we understand, but there's ordinances that, you can comply with or ask for waivers that the board do waivers on. And one other point, for me, if the driveways to 202 were eliminated, you can come out on Cheney Drive. You don't need PennDOT for that. They can't, they wouldn't have any say in it. And that's certainly a reasonable access to your property. If you just had the Cheney Drive access. Yes, sir.
There was a question I want to make sure it was properly answered about the sight lines being shown on the plans. Just make sure that was covered. They are not shown on the plans. That was an oversight on my part. I did not put them on this commission. I was working on earlier today, he will be in the next commission. Those are all real compliant comments from Alex on those items. I'm sure that was good question.
Thank you.
Could I ask you one question?
Yes.
Because when you had said earlier with the corrugated metal pipe, and you had said something about you were gonna send water a different way. Was that accurate, what I heard, or is it you were still gonna send it to that same basin?
Correct. So right now, the current drainage of the property is to that lower right hand corner. But the entire property still shows north to south. And then that, it collects in that location and now looks at current pipe. So we're following, as much regular natural topography of the site to sort of drain out that same, access point. So, thank you.
Thank you. I just have a question about the right of way, and I know, Al, you made reference to it in your review letter. Typically, for developments in this township and elsewhere, we require dedication right of way, reservation of right of way. Have they shown that on a plan for both Cheney and Wilmington Pike?
I believe that there is already. Compliant way. They'll check on when we like, I don't believe they were. They are showing a 25 for the ultimate right of way. I don't recall that there was an offer of dedication for the ultimate right of way.
I mean, typically, don't we require that to be shown?
We typically do require an offer, professional offer of dedication.
Okay, and would that effectively reduce the net lot area? If there's additional right of way that's required by the plan?
My understanding is they should have been measuring all of their offsets and setbacks from the ultimate right of way anyway, whether or not they were offering it for dedication. Typically, with the township engineer.
So we would do that.
Well, we would, but I can double check, but I believe that, I can double check.
No, that's a part of township engineer comments when it comes to right-of-way dedications. So you will see that probably in the comments.
All right, thank you.
All right, I think it would be appropriate if we hear a public comment on the traffic design and driveway entrance I will use now. If the commission will it. All right, we have a comment about the travel portion and driveway access. From our audience. who's present.
One moment, may I, please, Mr. Evans? No, the existing right of way was shown as 90 feet along 202 and the required is 120. So there would be an additional 15 feet of right of way subject to an offer of dedication. Unless it was waived.
I'm assuming that that will be a comment that Gene will make, or it will be on the plans the next time they come in. And Melo, could you make sure that?
Yep, I made a note,
That's the deal, that the applicant, has to.
indicated, yep,
Please.
okay.
All right, the audience who's present, are there any comments about the driveway design, access,
Yes.
highways, please come and give us your name and your address and your comment.
I'm Dan Walker, I live on Cheney Drive. So this plan that I see that has an exit on Cheney Drive, I think is great. I think it's good for that, this is smart. You don't want to delete the southern entrance on 202 because it provides some angle to get onto 202. And you have about
When you said, I'm sorry, we interrupt. You're pointing to
you were reading the plans.
the second.
That southern
the
entrance.
Southern entrance exit, right? Okay.
You can't get rid of that. Anytime you pull out a Cheney Drive, you have to count the seconds for the cars that are coming in and know your car and stop on it. It's a right angle turn directly on the 202. I don't understand how a box truck that has like a 0 to 60 in 30 seconds is going to do that. So what's going to happen very quickly is they're gonna need that southern exit, which kind of points in the direction that they wanna go to accelerate. It's a blind hill. So they're gonna be able to see when that truck is there, it's gonna block Cheney Drive's visibility to immediately. So. Also Cheney Drive isn't rated for trucks. There's a sign on it.
Mhm.
So I don't know if, I don't think the road's wide enough, but I don't know if it's thick enough. For heavy duty trucks, be going up and down. I can very easily see that truck take the Cheney exit, which is really nice for them to have out of that business. And get to a right angle turn with a box truck, and all of a sudden be stuck. Traffic's still busy there. Cars are going very quickly. I definitely don't wanna see them start making that right hand turn that they signed off. And then go down the S turn on my street. Okay,
So what you're saying is you agree you don't want trucks to turn right onto
I
Cheney.
go on the right, and they definitely need that southern facing exit. The closer you can get the car facing south to accelerate on the 202, the better. So I have, everything else is really great.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now our remote audience, I see a hand raised. Ms. Bulos.
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Pam Boulos and I live at 200 Cheney Drive. I think I agree with Dan's comments. I am also a resident on Cheney Drive, obviously. And I'm just concerned about truck traffic up and down the street. It does sound, it makes me feel a little bit better that the developer is saying there's only 4 employees and then just intermittent deliveries. However, I do think Dan raises a very good point. It's going to be very hard for a box truck to make that turn onto 202. It's a danger, especially, early in the morning, rush hour. It's a tricky turn to make in a regular car. So, yeah, that is all I have to say.
Ms. Giorgio's hand is raised. Would you unmute yourself and comment?
Yes. Hi, Patty DiGiorgio, 103 Cheney Drive. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
My concern is no one has mentioned the school directly across the street from this proposed new driveway on Cheney Drive. There is a school there, there is a driveway there, and there are at 2 times a day, if not more, about 30 plus kids walking up and down that street and coming in and out of that driveway. Excess traffic on the street is not wanted, not needed, and is dangerous. And that is my concern.
All right, are there any other questions, concerns regarding traffic?
Could I just ask, the children, they're further up Cheney, right? Like where the property, the road comes out. The only concern would be, I'm assuming, is if trucks were going right to kind of do the loop, is that what the concern is?
No, on Cheney Drive, there's an easement for fire accident vehicles, right? And a walking path.
Right
There's
here.
about 30 or so children that walk to school. Both elementary and middle school twice a day, so you have different times.
To be able to report your comments.
So rushing.
I can hear.
So twice a day, there's probably 30 children or so that walk to school for both elementary and middle school. So mornings and afternoons, and they use essentially the fire truck access, there is a gate path, walking path around the emergency access, which is typically gated off. it visually looks like it's approximately lined up with this exit. So that's what we're going with.
And you said currently Cheney Drive is restricted for trucks.
There's a sign, it says no trucks.
So trucks that might enter from Cheney Drive are left. Is that possible?
So if you're taking Cheney Drive, you have to turn clear through the parking lot.
No, I'm saying, if you're coming from the development that is west. Let's say a truck gets into the neighborhood, coming down.
So then southbound to
Heading toward 202 and this proposed facility, they would have to turn left.
Sorry?
But
well, if Cheney Drive, Cheney Road.
sorry about changing, can you show the plan for a second?
You want the aerial view or the plan? The plan?
But so instead of coming, you're coming eastbound toward 202, okay? You're saying Cheney Drive is restricted, no trucks.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't be on that route.
Agreed, but a truck would probably not cut through the whole neighborhood, so they would have to take New Street, go over to Jacqueline. Take a right turn on Sibley, take a left on Cheney Drive, just to do what you propose.
Right, and they would be violating the traffic code if they did that.
Yeah.
Under current.
But also from 202, there's a sign that says no trucks. So you can't turn from 202 on Cheney Drive with a truck, you should not supposed to.
Unless it would be improved. Why?
It's too now, and the exiting onto 202 is already quite hairy without a truck.
I would certainly do. Okay, Mr. Federer, could you come up so we can get it all? Yeah. Please.
There is a no truck sign there.
Mhm.
I do not believe that our restriction is accurately is reflected in the township board. I would also, at some point, project has to, something's gonna have to. Something's gonna be done, particularly if they're making it all.
Al, can you repeat that? Can you repeat that again about the township vehicle code? That's not referenced.
I don't believe that restriction
I can look it up.
is in the,
Right. Melanie, you'll check that, right?
Checking it, yep.
Not to do it right now.
Oh, I can.
162 17 runs is West Pleasantville Road. But I don't see Jacqueline Drive. in there. I'm sorry, Cheney Drive. I don't see anything on this place, but
Thank you. All right.
I don't know how that sign came.
Are we satisfied with that, with the presentations for now? We're not in a position to make any decisions. But we're done with traffic. I suggest that we move on to the Carol letter, Carol community letter. Is anyone, Mel, is anyone here from Carol?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I just? Before we go on, so I just want to make reference, one more comment about traffic. Now, this was not an Al's review letter, but I still think it applies. This is zoning section 170-1512. And its title is access to Route 202. And I'll just read it, item B, alternative access to Route 202, specific intent. It says, the purpose of the section is to discourage direct vehicular access from nuisance directly onto and off of the US Route 202 to avoid serious traffic hazards from increased numbers of vehicular access points along Route 202. And to encourage alternative access by using existing collector, local and stub roads. Access onto 202, and thereby be provided for a rational and reasonable hierarchy of roads and access points. That's item subparagraph 1, which is subparagraph 2. But I'm simply pointing out that this is in the zoning ordinance, and that I guess conceivably could be like other things that you referenced earlier. Leave for variance. Well, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Any comment about that, Mr. Federico? Okay.
No.
So we're going to.
That's not a variance. He already has that access. It's not like it's a blank slate, and he's requesting access to 202. This is existing, his grandfather did.
I can follow up with the zoning hearing board solicitor on that approval, zoning hearing board approval of non-existing, non-conforming uses, just to see what had been covered in that and what is not.
Thank you for your comment. I mean, it's a possibility. But it sounds like a legal question. Could be resolved by a legal, so here.
Yep.
Can we bring up the Google app again, please?
Sure.
I just want
This
to
one?
stop real quick, this, yeah, safety with kids for all, I think it's super important to talk about this. So is this access that you're referring to? Yes. Go through there? Yeah, it's not line for property. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure we're like way over here, and I don't want to minimize that whatsoever. What I will say is that, you know, again, we're probably somewhere in here. I mean, we can give you what that is, because you can see the property line sitting somewhere around here, so it's like not really possible for that driveway to be aligned with that. But what I will say is that, because of your, trucks, Amazon can drive through the neighborhood, right? They've been box trucks and all that kind of stuff. But again, I'm not minimizing anything, I'm just saying that those trucks can't go through the neighborhood. The moving van can also, which is also a variance for a truck, but it is implied that the moving van. Right, and I can tell you, Amazon truck doesn't come to it, Amazon van does. FedEx, box truck does, when they make the deliveries, UPS as well.
And just so we're all clear, we didn't come to the township proposing Cheney Drive. And now Cheney Drive we proposed with widening, site distance, everything else. I've got 2 accesses on the 202 and I paid for that for PennDOT. So all of these other things, again, we're not Walmart. 4 trips. We are drastically reducing what this was designed to.
Right, you've got a lot of non-conformities on them. I mean, we understand, thank you. All right, are we ready to move on to?
Sure.
Do you care to?
I didn't go first this time. I went first, I got sucker punched, go back to the head, so nothing worked. Mark Yoder with Carroll Engineering, it's been a very peer review. So they're proposing to extend sewer across Flemington Pike, across the Constitution property back to the manhole back here. Basically, I was intending to provide sewer service. Looks like it would work in theory. We do have some concerns. It was unclear how the right of way, which right of way line is being dedicated, and if the sewer as drawn is going to be on private property, will require an easement, or if there is it's very close to a right of way, the top manhole up there. So if that is to be dedicated from that right of way line that's just to the left of the manhole, we request the sewer be shifted over, because as drawn, you cannot access that sewer for future maintenance without going on to private property. So we'd like additional clearance from the right of way, if that is right of way line. Another suggestion, if the right of way lines, if one is dedicated, allows for it, we would suggest the one manhole be moved down to allow access from Cheney if there was a requirement in the future for it to provide sewer services to Cheney. As it is now, but again, it's unclear if that's feasible, depending on how the right of way. So that's why our comment was, please clarify the right of way lines, and then let's show what comments we had.
That's a. So will comply.
I do not know. The right of way will certainly comply.
Yeah, and so that the rest can fall in.
Sure, correct, right.
The other comment, big issue is how we're getting across, Wilmington Pike. From prior conversations, there was an earlier iteration of a project here, they were providing low pressure. Sewer at that time, they were paying horizontally directional, drill across the right of way. Which is fine for pressure sewer, it's not an option for a gravity line where you have to maintain a constant slope. The only trenchless option for gravity line would be jack and bore, so that just needs to be clarified and appropriate detail.
I understand, I disagree. Being this strongly reject word, okay. So here. This is the fall. From our property to the ultimate manhole. If I can't horizontal directional drill that and get you fall for sewer from this point to this point, you shoot.
Okay.
Alright? Pick whoever wants to shoot me, we'll put it there, but there's no way that we can't get fall, what, you know, what the distance, the horizontal distance is between the two.
It's about constant, right? It's not that you can't, it's the issue with the directional drilling is you drill and you hit a rock, and now you're here, now you're constant fall, it's not being maintained.
So there might be, saying there might be
Sure.
rises or dips.
Right, but if I can give you a constant fall with no rise, what percentage do you want from one end to the other?
The minimum is a half percent.
Okay, so if I can guarantee a 0.5% between here and here, I would like the horizontal directional drill. Jack and board is intensely more expensive, yes?
I understand, yeah.
Right, and again, poor people want to toilet. There's a motel here that has pump and fall. So going to a Jack, doing this period is very expensive. Going to Jack and board is staggeringly expensive. And I had, what's my distance from one end to the other place wise? Okay, more than enough, I don't know what the hell that matters. But again, I'm only shot over it. So I would like to horizontal directly drill with the understanding that he or whomever, maybe you want to go first to shoot me, knock your socks off, but. Again, the numbers are staggering to go from Jack and board. Does everybody understand what Jack and board is?
Yeah.
Okay, right,
Mhm.
so I can horizontally direct control that. You can come watch me bring on and, you know, we'll be all good.
Mark, the attorney was pointing from one end of the further westernmost manhole to the further easternmost manhole. But is it correct that you're only talking about underneath 202?
Correct, yes.
Okay, just want to clarify that. And is it also true that they would need to get a higher occupancy permit for this?
Absolutely, yes.
And PennDOT would dictate what method they have to use?
That is less clear, they would approve, we've done both. Well, for pressure sewers, we've definitely done HDD within 10 hours away, we've never done HDD for gravity sewer specifically because you can't maintain a constant. Can't guarantee you can maintain a constant slope with it, and then if it appears. Now, maybe not the right way, or going back to Jack and Boyd at that point, so that is just.
Do you expect that to weigh in on this issue?
I mean, they'll talk to get into the P and I don't know, I've never even tried to go for gravity line by HDD. So I don't know if it's in PennDOT.
Okay, but assuming that they say it's fine.
Sure.
Is that a problem for for the engineering design?
Well, if they do it by horizontal vertical drilling. And we televise it after the fact, and there aren't any signs of sags or changes in direction in it, then I guess it worked. It's not anything we've ever done or approved
But
anywhere.
they would have to demonstrate.
Correct.
That it was appropriately
Right.
constructed.
And then, yes, and then if there is an issue with it,
So that's something
Yeah.
that would be resolved down the road.
My one question to ask, sorry to interrupt you.
That would be something that PennDOT would weigh in on and or that we would bring to their attention.
Yes,
I have a quick question. If we direction drill, find out that there isn't the exact fall that actually is required. Can't the line be pressurized?
no. No, you'd have needed twine bed at that point, and you would need a very large pump to maintain scouring velocities, and you would need
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you need a,
Could a line be sleeved, it's fine.
you could potentially put you could for. Property like that, you have probably a single grinder, probably need like an inch and a half line, so you could potentially run an inch and a half line through that.
Cause that doesn't matter with pressure ups.
Correct, you could.
So my point is, we drilled 8 inches. And for some reason it didn't comply. We could feed the line through there.
There would be a lot of ifs and caveats on everything you wanna do.
But I'm saying 2 inch line fit through an 8.
Oh, absolutely, it's
So you can pressure on it
correct,
and run it if it doesn't fit.
right,
So there's an option.
there is, yeah.
Interesting.
Well, question for Mark, is it an option for them to just pursue a pressure line right now?
Yeah,
In the back, the idea of gravity,
correct,
and then they would do horizontal direction going.
correct, yes, that would be absolutely an option.
Is that better or worse?
I mean, it'd be great to have gravity connection on the other side of 202 for if and when Cheney Drive in service, but that's not their obligation at this point, so it's easier and better for them to put in a grinder from. We have no bigger objection to that either. We could look at potentially even, you know, if they don't need inch and a half, but if they put in a 2 inch, that makes it then conserve Cheney when, if and when they need to, that might be a viable option as well. I think that's what we've been looking at, under the prior iteration of the facility.
So we have to fall back.
Yeah, there are options. I think, yeah. Yeah, so our other comment for just appearances with utilities and verifying. Well, there's going to be gravity verifying the house answer.
Okay, so everything else is sort of okay.
Yeah.
Even these contingencies.
And with respect to the easement on the east side, that's the question to be applicant, is that have to be entirely on this property, the township property?
Yeah. They do have it, the easement lines going on around the property on that side. You wouldn't want to see a legal description.
Okay, so it's I thought there was a question about the location of that.
No, that, only on the west side, do I have a question about
Okay.
where, what's being dedicated on the west side, so that if it's clear, an easement is required or.
And to build that line on the township property, will any trees have to be removed? It seems like there's
Yeah.
not any considerable amount of vegetation.
Correct. Yes, there is a brush line all along the edge of the drive over there that. Here. It's really trimmed back.
So that would have to be cleared and then nothing would be permitted to be planted in there,
Right.
correct?
Like, correct, typically required that you clear, correct.
Thank you.
Right, any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay, from the public audience, any questions or concerns about sewage? Anyone? How about our remote audio? Do you have any questions about sewage?
We lost a couple of people from the remote audience.
So,
One last comment on sewer, when we
I'm
had.
taking back your Robson shot.
No, there's a lot of lines, you can have, auction it off, whatever you call them.
Raise some money.
Yeah, there we go. Now that we have the parameter for the sewerage, we're going to price that before we return the next time. Because the property is currently serviced by pump and all, and, you know, our intention is to do this, but if it's cost prohibitive, we'll be back talking about the pump and all. And the other option, or the other issue, is our intention was to offer the sewer line for dedication to the township once it was completed and inspected. The idea was that the public would be able to tie into the mains to main. We don't need mediation, but we're putting in mediation under the idea that somebody else might want to tie in to it rather than come and have to buy out of us, where we will be offering it for dedication. So the easement that would be proposed for the township use based on the township solicitor's feedback would be a construction easement, if you understand, at the end of the inspection period, and bond motion that you would accept the dedication of. So that's why it's not the way to stop it, and that is our intent. That's not inherently preference, that we will take that into consideration too. You don't need to get any response, so if that doesn't want it, then we'll figure out. Just want to say that, because the sewer line will, cross, because the sewer line crosses 202 and it crosses the PennDOT right away, it will need to be dedicated to the township regardless.
Mhm.
They cannot just treat it as a lateral because PennDOT will not apply the ship utility. It doesn't need.
But it can still be pressure.
Correct, yes, yes. If you pressurize these, then they get it out.
You'll decide what's best. Are there any more comments? Questions? Because we don't have review letters on from the engineer. Don't have to.
From the county, from the county, the letter should be ready this week.
You have a review letter from our township manager. It has 22 items.
Those are just administrative completeness items.
Pardon me?
Those are administrative completeness items.
Okay, so my question is, do you comply with those?
Yeah, my friend Chris Daly has already made all of those changes. Red face, but he's made the change.
He'll be shot.
No, I don't, but I'll probably. Yeah.
Right. Any other comments from the public? Or press? Comments from the public? Yeah, I don't think there are any presentation. We'll see you again.
Yeah.
Wait. Be friends by the end.
Thank you, Al. Oh, that's right, you're staying for the residential park and your favorite subject.
All right, we're gonna move on to whole business. First item number one, ordinance and parking permissions for single family dwelling. It is a continued discussion on potential changes in the regulations involving parking resident lot. And in your packet of materials, you see that the staff has read the existing ordinance conditions with some proposed changes. And I've also given us, I don't know if we have previously given us section 162
I haven't,
So
but because there was a lot of discussion on overnight
Yeah.
parking.
one of the points is also does provide some exceptions for restrictions and provides for temporary icon. So, Dylan, you wanna change this better?
Sure, so I have a red line version here, on, I don't have numbered pages, so, just go first. I think it's on the first page. Front yard parking restriction, there's just a small change here, about recreational vehicle. We do have a definition, so it makes sense to include the term that's already defined in zoning ordinance. G.
And-
I'm going through the first page, 1700 F, I think. Hold on, it makes it. G, yep.
Is that? Are we satisfied that? Most item would be. Of this. It might be part.
I hope so.
In that question. That someone like a farm. That we might consider as.
I-
not uncommon.
I think it covers with the complaints that we usually receive regarding specific items, travel trailers, boats, motorhomes, recreational vehicles or trailers. That's mostly what we have.
That's so.
Correct. Yep,
So,
correct. Yeah, this is just general requirements for front yard parking restrictions.
this change. 1 dash that.
My suggestion is to add the term commercial trip.
Oh, commercial trailer. How would you define the difference between residential and commercial trailer?
We have a definition, or we need to define. Or is it self-evident?
I'm just trying to figure out from like enforcement standpoint.
Well, assuming no. No. But. Limits. Then don't add. Testing, you could do.
Correct. Okay.
It just says trailer.
I guess it's it would be applicable to all trailers.
Well, I
It
think,
similar, says travel trailer, no. Boat trailer, no. Or similar recreational vehicle or trailer, that's, to me, that's.
Sorry.
Yes.
it sounds like you're pulling up a pup trailer, you know, a camping trailer.
Mhm.
So I think we should include in there commercial
Commercial trailer.
trailer or some other similar nomenclature.
Or, and nowadays you see, for instance, rather large trailers that have, more on a landscaping equipment on them, and they can be. They can be enclosed or they can be open. I don't think that we want to recommend that those be allowed to be parked in the front yard, except if they're visiting to provide landscaping services on your property.
Correct.
So if we're satisfied that that is covered here, and we're good.
But I agree with you. I have a question about park or store. And maybe I missed it, we made reference to it, my fault.
No, so
I don't mean to be obtuse, but can they park it for a night? That's different than store.
yeah, so it's all about a specific situation. So let's say you have a trailer not actually parked, meaning like it's not on the driveway, it is just sitting in the backyard, on the front yard or sitting on the grass. So that would be more of a storage. I was trying to bring storage regulations and connect with the parking provisions. We do get some pushback when we try to utilize storage provisions as it relates to, let's say, boats sitting in the driveways. And we would say, because you have a boat there for more than 30 days, it has to be screened. And the pushback that we get, the boat is not parked, it's parked, it's not stored, so storage provisions don't apply. So I would be curious to see what Pat McKenna's suggestion would be on a specific issue, but I was trying to cover storage in that specific language.
Yeah, I want you to be with bigger jam involved in trying to enforce this. That's all.
Yeah, we have a lot of
I don't need to.
Yeah, we have a lot of complaints about boats. So the next provision,
is, F, proposed new F, 70-1700 F.
Yes,
Now we're talking about parking on lawns, landscape areas, grass, or other unapproved surface.
mhm.
My, my initial question here is, what does temporary mean? And how do we determine what's temporary? And if so, how do we control, if it's appropriate, when temporary bleeds into permanent?
So what I was trying to capture here is, when we issue building permits, under the building permit, the applicant is allowed to temporary park construction, any construction related vehicles and, like landscaping trucks, for example, would fall under that category. So if you have landscaper that comes and, have to park on grass for the lack of parking area, we've had a really long discussion about impervious surfaces, and if you don't have enough parking area on your property, then you are forced into expanding your parking area. So if you have landscaping coming all the time, maintenance coming all the time, and there's always an issue with parking, I feel like you would have to allow temporary parking on grass if there is nowhere else to park. So that's what we were trying to capture here. How it would be enforced, I'm sure I would hear from the neighbors if we've had like a landscaping truck sitting there for months and months in one specific area.
I think it would be wise to try and find them, so that we don't have to debate.
Well, I feel like the way that it's stated here, temporary parking associated with maintenance, construction activities, or other temporary activities authorized by the township. So we've had permits for a wedding, for example. If somebody wants to do a wedding on their property, they would ask to utilize the public roadway for parking and for gas and things like that. So I think it would cover the things that I'm thinking about as a part of a permit. This language would cover it.
So you were thinking about implementing or using some sort of permit.
Yeah, so that would be permit. So if somebody, it's not, you cannot define the length of time because, for example, for construction activities, we've had a building permit for 3.5 years that somebody was doing major renovations to the house and they had to park on grass for the lack of other parking areas. So when we issue a permit, we'd say you are permitted to park within specific area. It's a part of your limit of disturbance area, as a part of your grading permit.
Air suit parking surface during construction.
Correct.
We remove constructions.
Yep, and then you have to install erosion and sediment control measures in place as well. So I was trying to capture those specific activities that we are aware of. I'm sure something else would come up.
The reason why we don't want parking grass on a long-term basis is because of
Compaction.
aesthetics, environmental issues such as soil compaction, pollution of soil and groundwater, and damaged vehicles,
And damaged utilities.
damage to utilities that might be located. Okay, so I'm gonna turn to Brian. What do you think? I mean, you expressed as a policy decision, you said, well, maybe we shouldn't try to regulate, which is an appropriate consideration. And last time we talked about this, I said, if you can articulate some reasons why the aesthetic or environmental effects are either de minimis or ill-conceived, then I'd like to hear about it. And I don't mean to put you on the spot if you're not ready to talk, that's all, I just prefer you to hear a comment about.
Yeah, again, I understand the concerns about compaction, I understand about the concerns about oil seeping in and that kind of thing. I'm not sure how much that would be an issue. You know, and again, I think I tend to err on the side of it's a person's property, they're able to do what they want with it. Yes, we don't want vehicles stored everywhere, we don't want things, looking ratty. But at the same time, I'm not sure how we're gonna enforce no parking on lawns and what kind of penalties are in place. Is there gonna be fines? Is there gonna be summary type of offense, or like how are we going to keep people from parking lots? Because I can share in my neighborhood, I pass by places where people are parking on the grass. They have 5 cars, multiple kids in the house, and again, granted, I have 5 sons, they're all older, but when we have people over or my sons are there, we are gonna park on the road or partly on our grass. Or I've had, my son's parking on the grass and we have it there overnight for a couple of nights, whatever. And to me, I'm looking at this as, okay, so the enforcement's gonna come when somebody in my neighborhood calls the township and says the Knobs have cars sitting on their grass all the time. You know, I guess that's a neighbor issue, but I am not sure how it's gonna be enforced and what are the penalties then? What are gonna be the penalties?
Yeah, so that's because it falls under zoning, it would follow the zoning penalties and violation chapter, which is ultimately a notice of violation and filing with the district court. The township would have to have pictures that shows on such and such a day there were vehicles parked on grass. I think the maximum fine is $500. From what I remember, and it would cost the township more in terms of legal fees before we recoup any fines. So, and that's the issue we've been having with that specific provision when it comes to no parking on grass.
Yeah,
It's not easy.
Rustin said something that I agree with. Yeah, you shouldn't be parking in the front yard, in front of your doorway, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's tacky. That's not what we want. But parking, if your driveway goes in and you have someone that, because of space constraints or whatever, you're gonna pull onto the grass. Again, I just feel like they're not allowed to park overnight on the road, but and you're gonna and they can't park from this distance to this distance on the driveway. So then where are they supposed to technically go if they can't go on the grass? Or they can't? And again, I understand concerns about environment, I understand that kind of stuff, but again, I'm gonna kind of err on the side of that's that person's property. If it becomes an issue, then they, and there's, issues with that, people call. And I just think us making something that we may not even financially be able to enforce, it just seems like overreach. But, and I know that's not maybe very eloquently said, but I just feel like it's just a little bit of overreach. And yeah.
Other comments?
I could recommend planning commission issuing citations.
I was just like that, I agree with Brian, even though it was eloquently stated. So, that's the sentiment, or that's the view I take on the issue. Obviously, you don't want, people parking in their front yards for extended periods of time or things like that. Cause that does take away from the, flavor of the neighborhood. But, parking on lawns further back, I'm not sure what the feet distance should be. I think, like Brian, I err on the side of, allowing people use of their property as they see fit.
So what I'm hearing is that parking on grass might be considered if it's not in the front yard and it's temporary. Am I hearing when I'm interpreting that correctly?
Yeah, I guess it could be temporary. Again, we talked last time about, well, if college students are home and things like that. So, yeah, I guess, but again, I guess that goes back to what's temporary and how you define that.
And you never know how long your kids will stay with you. It may take a year or 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
For 30 years.
But I think what Brian is suggesting is that it would be permissible if he had his way, it would be permissible for people to park in the front yard on their lawn.
Well, that's where that started, but I was trying to test whether or not his statement about the aesthetic issues associated with the front yard would maybe cause him to think, well, maybe if we limited parking, it should be side or rear. That's all.
On specifically on grass?
And on grass, I mean, that's what Brian is suggesting that as a public policy matter, that, parking on grass, it's maybe a necessary thing. But I thought I heard him say, and I was trying to get him confirmation, that we shouldn't permit parking on grass in the front yard.
No, I agree with that.
Right, so maybe, and maybe parking elsewhere on property as long as it's safe, you know, not on utilities, not on septic, field, not on the pool. Would be maybe.
That would be difficult.
It would be fine temporary.
I think it would be-
Because if you don't, my concern is you're gonna have people junk cars on their property, and I don't think that's appropriate for aesthetics or environmental reasons.
Okay, let's play this out. Let's say temporary is 2 weeks, 14 days. Day 14, they move the car off and come back again on day 16.
That's why you need to define temporary.
So that's not really temporary. So except for that 2 week period.
It's the same as we had an issue with temporary signage, if you remember. That it was a temporary signage, but then it wasn't really temporary, it became permanent because there was no expiration dates on what temporary is,
I
so.
mean, you can deal with that by saying, you know, you can only park so many days within another larger. I mean, there's ways around it. But it's also an enforcement issue.
And who would track it?
And who's gonna track it? I mean, we can put the burden on the landowner, say you gotta prove that it's temporary. And you can't prove it's temporary in in a civil suit, and you lose. Or this could be a summary citation, I mean, if depending on what you could.
That's true. You can change that to summary citation, yep.
You're presenting your case to a match. District match. That takes part of it out of realm of the, I mean, assuming you do a summary citation for zoning violation and Pat again, so.
Okay.
I wanted to say.
You know, if we go back, when this conversation first started, actually. This is from the,
Is that?
The article,
and. Where it says parking areas, the spaces must be dust free and all weather by paved. Was that really the? Why we're talking about, why we're talking about this?
yes, partially, because a lot of, or some, I guess, several residents recognize that they are not permitted to park on grass, so they express concerns of why they are not permitted to park on grass.
In your experience, have you had complaints about?
People parking on grass?
Yes.
Yes, and it's all about aesthetics. It's really comes down to I'm filing a complaint or some anonymous person would call and give us an address to say they have 3 cars sitting on the grass all the time. They don't park within the driveway. Why the township doesn't enforce parking on grass. So it's mostly in the situations where there is a space on the driveway and there is a space on the roadway, but for some reason the cars are still parked on grass. So that's the complaints that we get. So in that situation, we usually issue a letter to the property owner explaining the benefits of not parking on grass and trying to make a case. But we have not filed any court cases.
When you issue that letter, what do people do?
So we've had situations that people complied, meaning that they were more conscious about where they park. In some areas, I know have 2 properties. It's really impossible for them not to park on grass because they have to stagger cars. And depending who leaves, person of household has to leave at certain times, it just doesn't work time-wise. So they end up parking, like they cannot help but keep breaking that provision because they don't have any other options. And they don't want to expand the driveway or parking areas because either they're already limited on impervious coverage per lot. So they are at their maximum capacity, so they cannot expand the parking areas, or because it's cost prohibitive to do an expansion and then you have to install a stormwater management facility.
You know, is this a big problem or small for the staff?
Well, it depends who you ask. So there are some neighborhoods that are very offended by parking on grass. So we just take the complaints, we verify it. It is something that needs to be addressed. If we had it more streamlined from the enforcement standpoint, or if this is not something that we enforce, then that provision should not exist in our code. If we are okay with people parking on grass, whether it's temporary or permanently basis, you can define which areas they're permitted to be parking, whether it's a front yard or rear yard, or side yards, then it's better not to have something that we don't enforce anyways.
Well, that's kind of where I'm going. It seems like we're twisting ourselves in pretzels trying to find a solution and we can't seem to find one. So why not just permit people to park on the grass and be done? Because I don't know if you want to name the neighborhood, but it doesn't seem like it's a huge problem. It's like a solution looking for a problem.
Yeah, and if you go to eastern side of the township where the lots are smaller, that's where we have a lot of concerns like that, because the driveways are very short, as you know, and the impervious coverage is very small per lot, and their lots are very small. So if you have a household with 3 adult kids, there's really no other place to park but in the front yard, because they also don't have really extensive side yards. It's always gonna keep coming up.
Mila, the complaints that you do receive, are they, or people those complaints the subject of people parking in front yards, side yards, or is it a mix?
It's primarily front yard because it's primarily short driveways, can't really get to the back of the house because of septic systems or not enough space, or topography or anything else. So their only option is either the roadway or the front yard on the grass.
And are a lot of those houses too, do they not have much frontage on the road for?
Correct,
park in
yeah.
front?
Yeah, it's usually very, really short driveways. If you have an acre of property and extensive driveway, you can stagger the cars and have, but it's a short driveways that are struggling, so to speak, to accommodate people in the household. So, and it's hard to define temporary because if you would say, okay, once a year for 30 days, you can temporarily park additional cars. I just don't see a good practical way of tracking it.
I also noticed that the parking regulations that you provide in the start at section 162-19 do provide for on-street parking exception. So if you wanted to permit as a general rule, parking on roads, say, change it, so it says you can park on the roadways at all times. And only the following, as you have done already, only the following street parking is prohibited. And I'm assuming there is some roadway configuration issue associated with a banning of on-street parking.
So,
Those are, and one of them is Picket Lane, Charles Lane, those are very
narrow.
streets. So you don't, for emergency and safety purposes, you don't want people parking on those streets.
So what was interesting when I reached out to our emergency management coordinators and Chief Leahy, it sounds to me from the police standpoint, they do question why we have a restriction on overnight parking. Whether it's a daytime or nighttime, why this restriction even exists. While the emergency management coordinators would like to keep that restriction in place for emergency vehicles, but again, what about daytime? Why do they expect more emergencies occur during nighttime? That's why there is no overnight. But it sounds to me that police does not proactively issue citations when it comes to that. So again, it's one of those regulations that we get complaints about, and then we have to respond on with some sort of enforcement action. But in reality, it's very challenging to enforce, and it's not very practical.
So is the staff coming down on the side of, this is a problem that we have difficulty for not to have a requirement?
Yeah, so when it comes to overnight parking, I would prefer to have, in speaking with police, a list of streets that should be restricted for on-street parking, whether it's
It's okay.
exactly with the signage, with appropriate signage to be posted. So yeah, we talked about sight distance and narrowness of the roadway. There are some things with the driveways, depending.
Would be period. Parking, even though it's permitted, is not. Where the road would be.
Yes, and if it becomes a big problem, you can always revise the code to put that blanket restriction back in place. But for grass, it's a little bit more complicated and complex because of how impervious coverage is defined under stormwater management regulations. So it's a domino effect. Depending how you would like to address parking on grass through zoning really impacts whether or not it is applicable under stormwater management regulations. Because if somebody parks in the same spot for prolonged periods of times, under stormwater management regulation, that is considered impervious. Therefore, it should be included in overall runoff calculations for the property. So it's a double-edged sword.
Would the staff, I'm back to Rob's, would the staff prefer that there be no requirement for restriction on parking? Correct.
Yes, or if there is a restriction, it would be more enforceable via citation as opposed to through zoning process, just because you really have to prove that and then again, it doesn't say, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we talked about parking on grass. Talked about temporary parking. Talked about parking on the side and the backyard, and talked about parking on the street. That's it.
And majority of municipalities in Chester County have a prohibition on parking on grass, but I don't know how they enforce it.
What I would prefer, it's just my preference, what I would prefer is no parking on grass in the front yard. Parking on grass in the side yard, rear yard, okay, as long as it's not from. However we figure that. And amending our regulations so that overnight parking streets is permitted in appropriate areas.
And I can work with,
Well,
I think that's reasonable, but, Brian, do you really have 5 sons? God bless you. So they're all home. Could they even possibly park? Not in the front yard. On your property,
when they come over.
and their friends? Don't count their friends.
To allow street and.
Right, and that's what happens, but no, if all my sons were home, we have our garage where my wife parks, but then we have basically. Unless we block that in, we have 3 spots, possible 4th one blocking, so we can't get out of the garage. So it would be a challenge if they were all there. Now, again, some are grown, they're not home, but yeah, that would be a challenge. If all my sons were home and they all had cars, that yeah, they'd be parking on the grass.
Do you have a side of your garage or front?
I'm on the curve, so I have you come down the drive and then you come in. My front is facing the road, but it's the side.
The reason I ask is I have a side of the garage, and I can park 2 cars, in the garage, I can park 2 cars in front of the doors. They're all behind the front yard setback. But if I had a front entry garage, and I parked them in front of the doors, I would violate what's being suggested there, which is no parking. So that would be a problem for me, and it would be a problem for a lot of people. Front entry garages are allowed to park.
How many vehicles are you allowed?
On the driveway, okay.
On the driveway, you can park any as you want.
With the current.
You're just talking about grass.
Okay, so we're all talking about.
I'm trying to figure that. That's.
I still think planning commission citation would be a way to go.
I think that's something. I mean, we don't decide, we don't have that. So what's on the table here, we haven't gone through it all. What's on the table is no parking on grass in the front yard. Parking okay in the side yard and the rear yard on grass, as long as it's temporary. And parking is okay on all roadways in West Side Township unless there is some roadway issue. That was my way of trying to compromise. And recommending that the implementation of the citation system, if legal, is the primary enforcement.
Mhm.
So what was that?
Say what? Citation. Summary citation.
Summary citation, so.
So, Jack, you're saying it would not be zoned to be in section 162?
Well, it might be done, but that would be one of the alternatives. Depending on patent, patent says.
How to-
The enforcement alternative. It's sort of, I mean, it may need some addition has to be added to the part, this part provision. As an enforcement. This is some of these. Who's not. We have, is that okay, are we not happy?
So we need,
Okay,
sounds reasonable.
I'll get more information and then we can go from there.
well, let's, I don't make sure that. Brian's okay.
He's able to park all his cars.
He said it here. No, that's fine, you try to. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I guess the definition of temporary would be.
Okay.
And I know for sake of time, I know you pulled that up, but I'm not sure if we should continue. But there was talking about the suggestion of, about, you know, from the curb, from the carpet, stuff like that. Is that something we could talk about another time? Or do we want to try to keep doing
Yeah,
that?
no, and I think that we could probably get consensus on changing this portion of the driveway, which is inbounds and what is out of bounds. You,
Which I did.
and I think you did address.
Yeah,
Do you care to comment on that since it was your suggestion? Is that okay with the commission? Is it getting done?
Which others?
It's parking and driveways within the required front yard.
Yeah, I know, I just,
it's the,
unless he went over the online material, he may not have seen your revision, I don't.
Oh, it's right there on the screen. So, yeah, so parking and driveways within the required front yard, so that provision, a new provision, from the one that we discussed last time, it would say no motor vehicle shall be parked or permanently stored within the portion of a driveway located within 10 feet of the edge of the cutway of a public street or within 5 feet of the edge of a sidewalk where sidewalk exists. Temporary parking shall be permitted. So that's how we revised it.
Use that as officially, was that on, that on the to mention Paul Road? A couple of comments. One, I think for a lot of the driveways I know of, 10 feet puts you right back in that place where you're
Okay,
in the front half of the driveway. And that would restrict somebody from putting a car in your situation, with one car garage and one car behind it, and the car behind it violates that rule. I don't know why 10 feet.
arbitrary, yeah, it's arbitrary number.
It's
Generally,
it's arbitrary, not arbitrary, you're saying?
she may have picked it as arbitrary, when I checked the PennDOT, the clear zone guidelines.
Oh, that's right.
10 feet covers the majority of the roads. I mean, there's variations in it, but 10 feet was
And you want
a reasonable
somebody
number.
with emergency people. So they don't have to.
Oh, I forgot.
Well, I
Which-
promise you, if somebody's got an emergency vehicle coming to their house, they'll do one call.
Yeah, you can make it.
Well,
I would all,
I used to drive an ambulance. If you get there and you can't get the ambulance for you decide whoever's got that car, you move it and they move. I've never had anybody say, no, I'm sorry, I can go leave it right where it is, you work around me pumping there. I've never seen that. Anyway, I think that it's, if it is what they say it is, it seems to be overly generous. My comment is more for the other parts of what you're talking about, so I wanna get out, I know the local.
They're waiting
Thank you
for
very
you.
much for that, that's very considerate. Does the planning commission want to, I just wanted you to comment to this.
Yeah,
I made
I
a
think,
suggestion, and I wanted to see what. Do we want to keep going through the parking regulations, it's about 9:15. There's not a lot of them, you want to try to do that, or just do it, try to take the matter up again when we read next.
I'd be okay with us taking up the matter then, but I'd also be okay with him just maybe making the comments on what we've already talked about, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I have one.
Okay?
Sure, yes. Okay. On this, the temporary pickup drop off 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't think you should put things in ordinances that you know what you can enforce. There is nobody gonna stop and look at a car and sit there for 30 minutes and say, oh, we're gonna come out and move it or not.
We do it for dog.
So. And the other thing, this goes back to the other thing you talked about temporary. Well, I have a son who lives outside this township, not too far away. He has two sons, both drive, both home, he and his wife park in the garage. The boys park on the grass, because if they park on his driveway, every time somebody.
They would block it.
Now, everybody's got out and play usable cars. So, I think to me, it seems like you're giving yourselves an awful lot of trouble over dealing with parking on grass, side, front, back, but I can't imagine we have over 5 days a year where somebody's complaining. And to me, what you do is you tell the person who complains, "Don't suck it up, they're not doing anything terrible, they're parking on the grass, it won't hurt their life," and you go on. And you leave parking on the rest of the environment, certainly, you know, because it's far of beats and will regular fluid, oil, whatever it is, in France. It takes a very long time for that to get through. Where by the time it's done, all of that is filtered into the pump line. Whereas if it's on a driveway or impervious surface, which is what you want us to read, as soon as the rain comes, washes it in each one. So, from an environmental standpoint, borrowing grass is actually doing less damage than borrowing, right? So I would suggest that you're looking at borrowing grass becomes just an aesthetics issue. Why are you guys worried about the aesthetics issues and giving themselves a bunch of headaches? Trying to find all this stuff. When, if you just took that off, I would, Mr. Knoll, people mostly, in my, they're reasonable.
More for less work.
And if you talk to me, we're all, you don't have the problem. So that would be my suggestion. For most of the overnight parking, same thing, but people will be reasonable. And most of this will all go away. You guys do that way, 6 hours fewer. I know. Anyway, that's my 2 cents for what it is. Thank you.
All right, do we want to have, we're gonna skip down to, reports, if you want to do that, or we, well, we wait. Oh, thank you for your public comment. This is another opportunity to have public comment.
I'm gonna stay for this. I looked for the pipeline thing last time, and
We're gonna skip it. Thank you, Al.
I was gonna hang up just to catch up, you're not gonna do that.
I don't see any public comment on our remote audience.
We lost everyone now.
Good. That's what we, that's what. That's what we. Okay, I'm gonna close the public comment period and ask for a report as briefly as possible for August 3rd. And Mr. Hatton was not present, so we're going to turn to Mr. Now, who instead gave a fabulous. Before those moves, thank you, sir.
Yeah, so just real quick, Public Works, Mr. Gross said that parks are getting heavy use this year, maybe a little bit more than normal. They're doing a lot of tree work because of all the rain, like even tonight, he's been coming down and mowing a lot. They are looking for some of the final things for the road projects, that paving and things like that. You know, but he said there's a lot going on. The EAC, talked about concerns about road salt pollution. They're hosting a tree care workshop again coming up, and 9/26 root cleanup is coming, and they're planning things for West Town Day. There were several people in the public comment on agenda, couple citizens stepped to the mic and talked about the historical commission and concerned about why the board of supervisors, closed that commission down. We'd like to see it, be reinstated. And then there was someone, and I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, talking about the Turk's Head Trail project from West Chesterborough to Wawa Station.
Gary.
Yeah, and how they're trying to, isn't that a walking trail type of thing, is that a train?
No, it's a trail next to train.
Okay, yeah, so they're trying to continue that work, and they're wanting our township to be a part of that. I think it puts money into it.
Yeah, I think they're looking at $100,000 for a feasibility study.
And then there was talk about for new business C, the agricultural security area. There were 4 properties that have asked to be added into the township agricultural security area: 1501 East Street, East Street Road, 1119 South New Road, New Street, sorry, 1072 State Lane, and then 1631 East Street Road are asking to be part of that whole agricultural security area, so they can, be able to farm and other things like that. There's a DAC vacancy. There's a concert coming Wednesday. I'm forgetting the band name. There's some recreation programs on the county website. The yard waste is on Friday. Pickup is on Friday, August 14th. And there's a treasure hunt with hiking towns adventures on Sunday, August 16th. That's it.
Yeah, in the workshop, there was a presentation about MS4 program. And it's basically a summary of the what's called municipal septic storm system program. And it's a program that's been in effect since 1987. It was applicable to West Town Township in 1999. So we've had 27 years of a second permit cycle, which are designed to, and this is designed to control discharges of polluants from municipal septic systems. We know that for years, many of the big cities have combined systems. So you have stormwater and sewer combined. When the storms come in, the storm and the sewer system overflow and discharge. And the EPA is trying to fix that, has been trying to fix that for decades. But West Town Township doesn't have that. We have a separate sewer system. But there's stuff that goes into it from non-point sources, and it's causing problems because every stream in West Town Township is under impaired status. So EPA and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection want that to be fixed, but it's an unfunded need. So how do you do it? There have been like 5 permanent cycles.
Yes, I think so, yeah, since 2014. Well, and there was like some extensions because, yeah. Yeah.
So, and every permit cycle, they change it up and they ratchet it down because they need to control discharges from point sources, which turn into discharge from point sources because they become water municipals. So it's ever more costly or ever more bothersome. So if you want to see the summary of the program, if it interests you, there's a slide deck in the workshop materials, which is worth looking at.
And I thought it was really well done presentation. It really provides a full overview about the programs, requirements, what the municipality is responsible for, and potentially how much money it will cost on a.
Most
on a-
people are familiar with point source. Fact.
Mhm.
Many people don't understand that the municipalities now have this requirement for these non-home sources that come off of our roads, our stormwater systems and whatnot. But it's still a major problem and we need to pay for it. It's unfunded, but you know, it's our stormwater. I mean, would you expect the people in Iowa to pay for our stormwater control? They have their own.
Why not?
But it's unfunded, so you have to budget. You've been budgeting for.
Quite some time.
And we're gonna keep budgeting.
And implementing projects one by one.
All right, is there any more business coming for this? Slide. All right, I'm gonna.
I just want to note that I'm scheduled to appear at the August 17th Board of Supervisors meeting. And I will be there at no.
Okay, sounds good.
Now is your sub, but it looks like we will be needed, but if something arises, you will work it out. All right, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
No.
All those in favor of adjournment, how about saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed? You vote no.